Imagine you walk into a cafe. A man sits at the corner table, fingers drumming the wooden surface, his eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Across the room, a woman leans back in her chair, one eyebrow slightly raised, a faint smirk on her lips as she listens to her friend. Without a word, both of them are telling you a story. You just have to learn to hear it. And here's the promise of today's journey. By the time we finish, you will have the tools to read a person in just 10 minutes, not by guessing, but by using proven psychological principles, real-world case studies, and step-by-step drills used by detectives, negotiators, and behavioral experts around the world. This isn't about becoming a mind reader. It's about becoming an observer. The kind of person who walks into a room and instantly senses tension, warmth, deception, or trust. And to show you this is possible, let me take you to a small apartment in New York City, where one observation changed everything. Chapter 1, the New York apartment. It was winter. A young woman named Maya was interviewing potential roommates. She had only 15 minutes per person. Most applicants seemed polite, friendly, and ordinary. Then came Daniel. In the first minute, he complimented her bookshelf, but his eyes flicked quickly over the room, noting the locks, the windows, the kitchen knives. When she asked why he was moving, he hesitated, not the thoughtful pause of someone remembering, but the fraction of a second delay of someone inventing. Maya didn't know it then, but she was picking up on microexpressions, those lightning-fast flashes of emotion before the mask returns. She politely ended the interview and chose someone else. Months later, she learned Daniel had been arrested for burglary. Maya hadn't studied psychology. She didn't know about Paul Ekman or FBI training manuals, but she was paying attention. The truth is, we all have this ability, but for most people, it's like having a powerful camera and never taking the lens cap off. Today, we're going to remove that lens cap for good. Chapter 2, Why 10 Minutes is Enough. You might be thinking, can you really understand someone in just 10 minutes? Psychology says yes, but not by judging their clothes or first impression alone. Instead, it's about stacking evidence across 3 layers. 1. Body language. 2. Voice and language. 3. Microexpressions. When you combine these, you don't just see the person, you understand them. And to prove it, let's look at a case that became legendary in FBI history. Case study, the airport interrogation. Joe Navarro, one of the FBI's top behavioral analysts, was once called to observe a suspect at an airport. The man claimed he was traveling for vacation. He smiled, his voice was calm, and his story was rehearsed. But Navarro noticed something tiny. Every time a man said vacation, his left foot pointed toward the nearest exit. That single consistent cue, repeated unconsciously, told Navarro the man's body wanted to leave the conversation. The result? A deeper search revealed illegal items hidden in his luggage. Lesson: people can control their words, but the body whispers a truth, over and over, if you're watching. Chapter 3, the 3 layers of human reading. If you want to understand someone in 10 minutes, you must read them on 3 levels, just like peeling the layers of an onion. Layer 1, the body speaks first. Before they say a word, their body has already introduced them. Think about this. If someone greets you with a genuine smile, the corners of their eyes crinkle. This is called a Duchenne smile. It's almost impossible to fake for long because it engages involuntary muscles. On the other hand, a forced smile looks like the mouth is working alone, while the eyes remain cold. Real-life example, the job interview. In 2018, a hiring manager named Lisa shared that she could usually tell within 5 minutes if a candidate was genuinely confident. The key? Confident candidates sat upright, leaned slightly forward when speaking, and kept their gestures open, palms often visible. Nervous or deceptive ones touched their faces more often, crossed arms defensively, or avoided direct gaze. Layer 2, the voice tells a story. Research from the University of California shows that tone of voice carries more emotional weight than words themselves. A trembling voice, a slightly higher pitch than normal, or a sudden clearing of the throat can all signal anxiety. Story, the negotiator's trick. Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator, often shared that he would listen for late pauses, When a person's voice drops in volume right after delivering key information. Why? Because that's often where the truth hides. In the moment, they don't want you to question. Layer 3. The face reveals the unfiltered truth. Paul Ekman's research on microexpressions proved that emotions like fear, anger, disgust, and surprise flash across the face for a fraction of a second before a person can hide them. These microexpressions are universal, meaning a smile of joy looks the same in Tokyo as it does in New York. Famous experiment. In one study, participants were shown disturbing images while being told to hide their reactions. High-speed cameras revealed tiny flashes of disgust in their faces, even when they force a smile. The conclusion? The face is a terrible liar. Training drill number 1, the elevator game. Next time you're in an elevator, challenge yourself. Without speaking to anyone, observe body posture, facial tension, and where people direct their eyes. By the time you step off, guess who's stressed, who's relaxed, and who's avoiding eye contact. When you start doing this daily, your brain will begin spotting patterns automatically. Chapter 4. Stories that change the way you see people. Story 1. The coffee shop stranger. I was once sitting in a coffee shop in Istanbul when I noticed a man scrolling through his phone. His left leg bounced rapidly, but his face was calm. When his phone rang, his smile appeared instantly, but his shoulders remained tense and hunched forward. Within minutes, I guess he was expecting bad news but trying to hide it. Sure enough, I overheard him say to the caller, "Yeah, I'm fine, just waiting for the results." Lesson: the body doesn't always match the mouth. When there's a mismatch, trust the body. Story 2. The silent classmate. In college, I had a quiet classmate named Arun. Everyone thought he was shy and uninterested. One day, I noticed something strange. While others spoke, Arun would tilt his head slightly, raise one eyebrow, and jot tiny notes in the margin of his notebook. Later, I found out he was the top student in the class. He wasn't shy, he was deeply observant. Lesson: silence is not always weakness. Sometimes it's strategy. Famous psychology experiment. The Stanford Prison Study. In 1971, Philip Zimbardo ran a now-famous study where college students played roles of guards and prisoners in a simulated prison. Within just 36 hours, guards became abusive, and prisoners showed extreme stress. The experiment proved how quickly behavior adapts to perceived roles, something you can see in everyday life, from office politics to family gatherings. Application. When you meet someone, notice if they behave differently depending on who's watching. That's a clue to how much of their personality is shaped by environment versus core values. Chapter 5. The 10-minute reading blueprint. Think of this as your mental checklist. Every time you meet someone, you'll have exactly 10 minutes to gather a profile. We break it down into 3 stages. Stage 1. The first 30 seconds, the instant scan. Before they even speak, you're already collecting data. Posture. Are they standing tall or slouched? Shoulders back or rounded in? Gait. Do they walk with confidence, hesitation, or urgency? Eye contact. Direct, scattered, or absent? Story. The subway encounter. On a subway ride in New York, I once saw 2 people enter at the same time. One scanned the car slowly, making momentary eye contact with each person, confident, grounded. The other rushed in, head down, clutching their bag tight, nervous, guarded. Neither had spoken a word, but their energy told completely different stories. Stage 2, the first 3 minutes, the engagement phase. This is where words and voice enter the picture. Voice tone, calm and steady or rising in pitch. Word choice, do they use I or we more often? High, I use can indicate self-focus. We can show inclusiveness or strategic persuasion. Pauses. Are there delays before answering personal questions? Case study, the sales pitch. Researchers found that when salespeople use mirroring, subtly matching a client's tone and pace, trust levels rose by 67%. But when tone mismatched, for example, a high-energy pitch to a low-energy listener, the success rate dropped dramatically. Stage 3, minutes 4 to 10, the microexpression hunt. Now you're watching for those fleeting flashes of truth. Discuss. The nose wrinkles slightly, upper lip lifts. Contempt. One corner of the mouth pulls up, Fear, eyes widen, eyebrows raised together. Happiness, eyes crinkle with a smile. Famous case, Bill Clinton's deposition. During the Monica Lewinsky investigation, analysts noted microexpressions of anger and contempt during certain denials, invisible to most viewers but clear in slowed footage. Such cues often point to emotional conflict. Training drill number 2, the silent interview. Watch an interview on mute. Write down every emotional shift you see, posture changes, facial muscle movements, head tilts. Then watch it again with sound. Compare your observations. You'll be amazed how much you caught without words. Chapter 6, the story of the airport stranger. Let me tell you about a woman named Syra. She was waiting at Heathrow Airport when a man sat next to her. He was well-dressed, spoke politely, and even cracked a joke about flight delays. But Syra noticed something odd. Every time she mentioned her destination, his breathing quickened slightly. His shoulders lifted for a brief inhale. 10 minutes later, airport security approached and asked the man to follow them. Turns out he'd tried to overhear her conversation for a very different reason. He was involved in a travel scam targeting new arrivals. Syra later said, "I didn't know exactly what was wrong, but my gut kept telling me to be alert." That gut feeling wasn't magic. It was her brain processing microsignals, posture shifts, breathing patterns, and subtle facial tension. Chapter 7, the motivation factor. Why does learning this skill matter? Because every connection you make, every friendship, business deal, relationship, depends on trust. And trust isn't about believing everyone. It's about knowing who to believe. Imagine walking into a business negotiation and spotting dishonesty in the first 5 minutes, or meeting someone new and instantly sensing genuine kindness. This skill doesn't make you cynical. It makes you wise. As the saying goes, the eyes may be the window to the soul, but the whole person is the book. Learn to read it. Chapter 8, the 7 most telling behaviors in under 10 minutes. After years of studying human psychology, law enforcement training manuals, and real-world observation, experts agree there are 7 behaviors that reveal the most about a person in a short time. We're going to explore them one by one, with stories, case studies, and practice drills, so that by the end, you'll see them in strangers like subtitles in a movie. Behavior number 1, the eye contact dance. Too much, and it feels like intimidation. Too little, and it signals discomfort or deception. Story, the street artist in Barcelona. While walking through Barcelona's Gothic quarter, I met a street artist who painted portraits in minutes. When I asked how he captured people so quickly, he said, "I watch how their eyes move when they look at me. If they glance away in short bursts, they're shy. If they hold my gaze too long, without smiling, they're trying to dominate the space." Case study, the guilty blink. In a University of Portsmouth study, guilty subjects blinked less while telling a lie, focusing harder to maintain their story, then blinked rapidly afterward to release the tension. This blink pattern can be spotted in under a minute if you know to look. Drill number 3, the 10-person blink count. In a public space, casually count blinks for 10 seconds while someone is talking. Normal, 15, 20 blinks per minute. Far fewer, possible mental strain, or lying. Far more, stress or high emotional arousal. Behavior number 2, the hand barrier. People subconsciously use their hands to create a barrier when they feel unsafe or defensive. Story, the cafe negotiation. I once watched 2 business partners in a cafe. One kept placing his coffee cup directly between himself and the other man, sometimes folding his arms tightly after speaking. Turns out the meeting was about dissolving their partnership, and he was literally building walls between them without realizing it. Famous experiment, touch and trust. In a study from France, waiters who lightly touched a customer's arm while returning change got higher tips. Hands signal openness, trust, and confidence when visible, and discomfort when hidden. Behavior number 3, the foot truth. While the face lies easily, the feet often tell the truth. If someone's torso faces you but their feet point toward the door, they want to leave. Case study, the networking event. At a marketing conference, I approached a group of 3 people. 2 had their feet aimed inward toward the group. One's feet were pointed toward the nearest exit. Minutes later, that person excused themselves to take a call and didn't return. Behavior number 4, the voice dip. When telling the truth, people's pitch stays consistent. When lying, the voice may rise slightly, a stress response from the vocal cords tightening. Real-life application, the car buyer. A friend of mine was buying a used car. When he asked the seller, "Has this car ever been in an accident?" The seller replied, "No, not at all." But the not at all was higher pitched than the rest of the sentence. He later found an accident report in the car's history. Behavior number 5, the micropause. That tiny moment before someone answers a direct question can be gold. It's often the brain buying time to craft a believable answer. FBI training insight. Former agents are taught to note when pauses appear, especially before short answers like no or "I don't remember." Behavior number 6, the overjustification. Truth usually needs no decoration. Lies often come wrapped in extra details. Example, the curfew lie. A teenager tells her parent, "I got home at 10:15 because the bus was late, and then I stopped to get a drink," and then piling details to sound believable. Behavior number 7, the emotional mismatch. When facial expression and words don't align, like saying "I'm fine" with a tense jaw, the body usually wins the argument. Paul Ekman's findings. In cross-cultural studies, these mismatches were recognized accurately by observers in under 5 seconds, even without formal training. Training drill number 4, the dinner table game. At your next dinner or group chat, watch for mismatches. Note every time someone's tone, body language, and words tell different stories. Don't call it out, just collect mental notes. Over time, you'll spot them instantly. Chapter 9, the cultural lens. One warning: culture changes the code. In Japan, avoiding direct eye contact can be a sign of respect. In Italy, talking with hands isn't extra, it's part of the sentence. In Nordic countries, long silences aren't awkward, they're normal. Motivational reminder: true mastery isn't about judging quickly, it's about understanding deeply. Your goal is not to label people, but to read them, to meet them where they are. Chapter 10, the ultimate 10-minute reading drill. This is where theory meets reality. We'll step into a single real-world scenario, break it down minute by minute, and watch how small observations turn into powerful insights. The scenario: the coffee shop interview. You've been invited to meet someone who wants to partner with you on a new business idea. You've never met before. They know your skills, your reputation, and you know nothing about them. You have exactly 10 minutes to figure out if they're trustworthy. Minute 0 to 1, the entry scan. You see them enter the cafe. Posture: shoulders slightly forward, quick steps, maybe in a hurry. Clothing: well-fitted but casual, says professional without screaming corporate. Expression: a brief smile to the barista, then eyes scanning for you. Observation: the ability to acknowledge others while scanning shows some social ease, but the forward shoulders could signal stress. Minute 1 to 3, the greeting. They reach your table. Handshake: firm but not crushing. Dry palms, low anxiety. Eye contact: hold your gaze for about 2 seconds before glancing at your notepad. Opening words: "Thanks for making time. I've been looking forward to this." Positive, future-oriented language. Observation: moderate confidence. Eye contact suggests sincerity, but the glance at your notepad might signal curiosity or concern about what you're writing. Minute 3 to 6, the story exchange. You ask about their background. Tone: warm, steady pitch, no sudden rises. Gestures: hands open, palms often visible. Details: include some specifics. "I worked at a marketing firm in Chicago for 3 years," but doesn't overload with unnecessary backstory. Observation: consistency in tone and openness of gestures support credibility. Minute 6 to 8, the testing question. You drop a subtle curveball. "Have you ever had a project fail?" They pause. One deep inhale. Then, "Yes, once. And it was the best teacher I ever had." The tone stays level, and they briefly smile while explaining what they learned. Observation: owning failure without deflecting is a strong trust signal. Minute 8 to 10, the exit phase. You wrap up. They gather their things slowly. Maintain relaxed conversation and shake your hand again with the same firmness as before. Feet stay pointed toward you until the final goodbye. Observation. No signs of wanting to escape quickly. Consistent engagement from start to finish. Conclusion of drill. If you were evaluating this person for partnership, the combination of openness, stable tone, relaxed exit behavior, and direct answers would put them high on the trustworthy scale. You wouldn't commit immediately, but you'd greenlight a deeper discussion. Chapter 11, Why 10 Minutes Changes Everything. Here's the truth. You don't need hours to form a reliable read on someone. You just need awareness. In 10 minutes, you can gather baseline behavior, how they act when comfortable, stress reactions, what shifts when pressured, consistency, does their story align from start to finish? This doesn't just protect you from bad decisions. It opens doors to deeper, more genuine connections. Because when people feel seen, they open up even more. Motivational close. Remember, you are not just learning to read people. You are learning to understand them. The greatest leaders, negotiators, and storytellers in history, from Lincoln to Mandela, mastered this art not to manipulate, but to connect. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon, those first 10 minutes with someone will feel like opening the first page of a fascinating book, and you'll already know how to read between the lines. The better you understand others, the more powerful your own story becomes. Chapter 12, The Power of Blink. When intuition meets science. Have you ever had a feeling about someone that just clicked? Instantly? Malcolm Gladwell's bestseller Blink explores this mysterious power of thin slicing, the brain's ability to make quick judgments from limited information. Story, the art expert's instant judgment. Gladwell tells the story of an art expert who saw a statue for just a few seconds and instantly declared a fake, even though it had a long history and provenance. Later, scientific analysis proved the expert right. Write it down. After 10 minutes, compare your first impression with the fuller picture. This builds your intuition, backed by conscious observation. Chapter 13, The Science of Lying and Detecting Deception. Lying is a universal behavior, but detecting it is a science. Famous research, the polygraph's limits. Despite the myth, polygraphs measure physiological responses like heart rate and sweating, not lies themselves. That's why skilled liars can sometimes beat a polygraph. Story, the FBI's behavioral science unit. Instead, FBI profilers use behavior analysis, looking for clusters of deceptive behavior rather than single tells. For example, avoiding direct answers, using distancing language, that woman instead of my wife, incongruent emotions, smiling while describing a sad event. Drill number 6, spot the clusters. Watch a TV show or movie scene with a lie or deception. Note not just one, but several deceptive cues appearing together. This cluster approach is more reliable than chasing single tells. Chapter 14, Why Emotional Intelligence is Your Greatest Asset. Understanding people isn't just about spotting lies or reading microexpressions. It's about empathy. Story, the leader who listened. Nelson Mandela famously said, "A good leader is a good listener." When Mandela met his former jailers after his release, he didn't confront them with anger. Instead, he listened, read their unspoken fears, and built bridges. Practice drill the listening challenge. In your next conversation, focus 100% on listening without planning your response. Notice body language, tone, and unspoken feelings. Try to name the emotion you sense before responding. Chapter 15, The Final Motivational Push. You've learned stories, science, and skills. Now it's time to act. Every time you meet someone new, remember, be curious, not judgmental. Observe layers, not just words. Practice patience. Trust builds over time. The art of reading people is not a weapon, but a bridge. Use it to connect, inspire, and grow. Chapter 16, Cultural Nuances. Reading Beyond Borders. Reading people is not one size fits all. Culture colors every gesture, glance, and word. For example, in many East Asian cultures, direct eye contact can be seen as rude or confrontational, whereas in Western cultures, It's a sign of confidence and honesty. Story, the business meeting across cultures. A Western executive met with Japanese partners. He maintained strong eye contact throughout, thinking it showed respect and engagement, but the partners looked increasingly uncomfortable. Later, his interpreter explained that in their culture, prolonged eye contact is a challenge to authority. The executive adjusted, softening his gaze, and the meetings improved dramatically. Practice drill cultural awareness. Next time you meet someone from a different background, observe their greeting style. Notice hand gestures. Are they more expressive or restrained? Listen to their speech rhythm and volume. Respecting these cues builds trust faster than any words. Chapter 17, Common Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. Even experts slip up. Here are pitfalls to watch for. 1. Overgeneralizing. One gesture doesn't define a person. Look for clusters. 2. Confirmation bias. Don't only notice signs that fit your assumption. 3. Ignoring context. Stress or illness can alter body language temporarily. 4. Relying only on one layer. Combine body language, voice, and microexpressions. Story, the false accusation. A manager once accused an employee of lying because he avoided eye contact, but the employee had a cultural habit of looking downward when thinking. After a calm discussion and reviewing facts, the manager realized his mistake. Chapter 18, The Storyteller's Secret Weapon, Empathy. Empathy is the superpower behind reading people well. It's the ability to feel what another feels without losing yourself. When you cultivate empathy, you don't just see people's signals, you feel their story. Motivational insight. The greatest storytellers, from Maya Angelou to Morgan Freeman, connect because they understand deeply. When you practice reading people, remember, your goal is connection, not judgment. Chapter 19, Advanced Drills, Sharpening Your People Radar. To become truly skilled at reading people in 10 minutes or less, you need regular, focused practice. Here are 3 advanced exercises. 1. The silent observer. Attend a public event, a cafe, park, or market, and watch a conversation without listening. Focus only on body language, facial expressions, and gestures. Try to guess the mood and relationship between the people. Later, if possible, ask one of them about the conversation and see how close you were. 2. Voice pattern tracker. Record or find an interview of someone you don't know. Listen with headphones and note any shifts in pitch, pace, or volume. Try to correlate these with changes in topic or emotion. 3. Mirror and match. In your daily interactions, subtly mirror the other person's body language and tone. Notice how this affects their openness and comfort level. Chapter 20, Emotional Regulation. The reader's inner game. Reading others is as much about managing your own emotions as it is about observing theirs. If you let bias, judgment, or anxiety cloud your perception, you'll miss critical cues or misinterpret them. Tips to stay centered. Practice mindful breathing before conversations. Remind yourself that observation is curiosity, not accusation. Stay patient. True understanding often unfolds over time. Chapter 21, The Final Story, The Meeting That Changed Everything. Let me share a story about a man named Arif, a young entrepreneur I met at a conference. He was nervous about a potential investor meeting. Using what we discussed, he observed the investor carefully. Subtle tension in the jaw, quick foot taps, eyes flicking toward the door. Arif adjusted his approach. Stayed concise, addressed concerns quickly, and allowed small pauses. By the end, the investor relaxed and agreed to fund Arif's startup. That 10-minute reading wasn't just about spotting signals. It was about adapting to them. Your ability to read people is a superpower of connection, influence, and protection. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding. And as you practice this skill, you'll not only see the stories others carry, you'll tell your own story more powerfully with empathy, insight, and impact. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the hidden language of the mind and heart. Remember, every person you meet carries a story waiting to be discovered. And with the right tools, you have the power to understand them deeply, connect genuinely, and create meaningful relationships. So, keep practicing these skills, stay curious, and never stop learning the art of reading people. If you found this video helpful, inspiring, or eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to The Storyteller for more fascinating stories and powerful insights every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to unlock the secrets behind human behavior. Until next time, keep watching, keep learning, and keep telling stories that change lives.